a very warm welcome to this new edition of the 4NewMobility Leadership Talk. Today, my guest is Alex Torday, CEO of Eimsun. In this podcast, Alex provides us insights into Eimsun's innovative approach to traffic simulation, combined with AI and machine learning, and how this approach will reshape urban mobility. A key focus at the end of our conversation is the idea of a shift from traditional single question models to broader multi-access marketplace platforms, which could unlock new value for customers and mobility stakeholders. I wish you new insights with this podcast. So, good morning, Alex. I'm very, very happy to have this video podcast today with you. I hope everything is fine.
Everything is great. Looking forward for a great chat.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you very much. I mean, we needed some time to arrange it. Yeah. So I'm even more excited now to have you here. Yeah. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. And maybe as a starting point, I mean, you as CEO of Eimsun, you're very deep in the topic of simulation, traffic simulation, but maybe for the viewers of this podcast, in very simple terms, what is traffic simulation?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me start first by saying not only in simulation, and I'm sure we'll discuss about this later. I mean, simulation is essentially mathematical models that describe to the best the way the vehicles are moving in a transportation network, how they are changing lane, how they are accelerating, decreasing, turning left, turning right, choosing their path from going from A to B. So essentially, we have quite a lot of mathematical models behind that have been calibrated and validated against the real world to replicate as fairly as possible the behavior of the cars and the drivers on the road.
And what type of data are you using? What you already described that you have some modeling and so on, but what data do you have?
I mean, historically, we have been always using volumes, so a lot of loop detectors that you have on the ground, on the pavements, that is usually used for counting the vehicles or to provide information for the traffic signals. So that's the most historical data that we use. It provides us volume per lane and also to provide us sometimes speed, especially on the motorways. And now we have every time more a richer and richer set of data. We have floating car data that allow us to track travel times from different points to different points of different type of vehicles. We start to have also Bluetooth devices. We start to have drones, cameras. So the richness of the data and especially the different type of data is allowing us every time to have a better understanding on the behavior of the drivers and the different vehicles, and not only the cars, bicycles, pedestrians, all type of vehicles, because this is really now a very important topic. Is the diversity of the vehicles we have on the road.
And who are usually your customers, and what is really the benefit from these simulations for your customers?
I mean, it's pretty clear. We create a digital world, a digital twin, and our users use it to test what-if scenarios, to check the impact of whatever change they plan to do on their transportation network, to be able to assess in a digital world what will be the impact to make the right decisions and also to measure any return on investment. I give you an example. If you want to build a new motorway to avoid too much congestion in a city and you have a motorway around the city, this will cost a lot of money, but that will also save a lot of troubles. So you want to be able to measure this so that in your business plan you say, yes, this will cost me 100 million euros, but this will save this amount of pollution, this will have some social benefits, etc., etc. So as you can imagine by this explanation, our key end user usually is public authorities, people in charge of the transportation network, But we have other typical users of our tools, which can be the consultants that realize the studies on behalf of these transport authorities. But we have also a lot of universities that use our tools to do research, to develop new ideas in the transportation field, and use our digital twins to test this idea and to demonstrate the benefits of the new ideas they have developed.
So what your simulations actually are preventing is wasting money. So you make sure that your customers understand what is the impact of different decisions they can make, especially in the context of investing into infrastructure, and then learning with your simulations they can prevent wasting money, making wrong decisions. Is this a fair summary?
That's definitely one of the key. Another one that is very important and sometimes underestimated is also an amazing communication tool. If you can show a simulation of what will happen if you change these three intersections with traffic signals with a big roundabout, for example, then if you conceptually explain this to your local population about what will be the impact, they don't really understand why are you doing that, and why will you bother me during 8 months if doing road work? If you're able to show a quick video of saying this is how it is now, and this is how it will be, and this is the benefit, this is a great communication way that is pretty clear, and people understand what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do that.
So it also helps your customers with respect to stakeholder involvement, creating stakeholder acceptance in the context of different decisions. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I understand. I mean, this podcast is also very much about innovation. Yeah, so I would like to go a bit more into the direction of what is coming or what is already ongoing in your space. What is the situation with respect to also using artificial intelligence, machine learning? Is this for you an important component? And how does it change traffic simulation? And how will it maybe change traffic simulation in the future?
It's a very interesting question. I think in the recent years, people have seen AI or machine learning as a competitor of the simulation, saying, "Oh, well, AI and machine learning will replace that because it's way faster, it compute way faster, and it's incredibly powerful." It is. Now, we are strong believers that it's not replacing simulation; it's complementing simulation. Both techniques have advantages and disadvantages. And at Aimsun, what we are doing is to combine the best of both worlds in what we're offering to our client. So in terms of prediction, especially in real-time prediction, where we help, for example, traffic centers, management centers to predict what will happen when there is an accident happening on the motorway, you need to be extremely fast in answering the question. You cannot take half an hour to give an answer. So these techniques are usually using a lot of machine learning because we can observe some of the data that has happened in the previous days and previous weeks. And we have some very good algorithms that can predict what will happen without having to use the simulation. That being said, the simulation is extremely powerful when it tries to replicate what will be the behavior of the user of a transportation network under unknown, unobserved situation. What will happen if all the vehicles were floating vehicles? What happened if everything was automated vehicles? Well, you still need this behavioral simulation to understand what will happen because machine learning, as it says, it learns on an automated way based on observed data. So if what you're trying to describe hasn't been observed in the reality, there is no data to observe and to learn for the machine learning. So as you can see, depending on what you are trying to predict, you will use one technique or another. And maybe let me add one thing, is that the machine learning is helping us to accelerate and make a more efficient calibration and validation of our simulation models using better and more efficiently the different data sources we were discussing earlier in this podcast.
I'm not sure if I understood it correctly. Therefore, I'm asking this question. I mean, you spoke about real-time prediction,
Yes,
and you mentioned a case like there's an accident,
yes.
and then you make some predictions. Is it correct that you're predicting in real time or simulating in real time such a situation, for instance, to support emergency services? Is this correct, or how does this work?
Yeah, so this is correct. Not only the emergency services, but in general, what we're trying to do is first providing any alerts to the road operators that something is different than expected at that time of the day. If it's confirmed that there is an incident, then our platform is helping to evaluate different responses. Maybe you want to ask part of the traffic to exit the motorway, or you want to decrease the speed ahead of the accident. And usually all these measures or response plans that operators apply to the network is to achieve an objective. You want to reduce the risk of accident. You want to increase the fluidity on the motorway to keep as much user as possible on your motorway if you are a motorway operator, or you want to avoid all the traffic to go into the little villages around and create a mess. So you have some objectives. So if these objectives are clearly defined on the platform or the software that we're using, then the algorithms is testing what is the best response plans that will achieve these objectives and recommend to the operators what is the best response plans given the current situation, which is always different from one day to another.
But does this mean that your traffic simulation is not only about analyzing different options for decisions in the context, for instance, of investments into infrastructure, but it's also possible to install it more or less in a permanent way, yeah, so that simulations can run in real time, or that also customers, they then investigate different questions, yeah, as they wish, yeah. So it's not necessarily you have one problem, yeah. Come to Eimsun, you investigate this one problem, you run the different simulations, come with different outcomes, and maybe also with different recommendations for your customers. But it's also possible for you to install a model at a city, and then this is more on a installed in a permanent way, and they can work with it. Is this a correct understanding?
That is a correct understanding. In fact, what's the trend is showing is that now this is in fact the same model. It's just used for different. We have different use cases of the same model we are developing, because the only thing we're doing is to predict the future. So what changed is, depending on which use cases you have, is the horizon of this prediction. If you want to do long-term planning, you're talking about 5, 10, 20 years ahead. If you are operators, anything that is beyond 1 hour is of zero interest for you. So you want to have very short-term prediction. That being said, what we are very adamant is that if we do a good work, it will be the same model that can answer both questions. So what we are seeing is every time to have a more integrated, what we call mobility forecasting platform that allow to embrace as many use cases as possible with the investment on only one representation of your transportation network. While in the past, it's true in our industry, you had one type of usage, one tool. I want to do planning, this is A. If you want to do operation, this is B. If you want pedestrian analysis, this is C. I think this is dead. I think we have now the technology from a software point of view. We have the richness of the data. We have the processes in place in which only one single truth representation of your transportation network can serve all the use cases. It's our role as a software company to just configure, set it up before we run the simulation, to the use case of the operators of the model, not the opposite.
And how does it work then? I mean, you go to a customer, yeah? And the customer, let's say that's a department in a city, and they want to install an intersection, and they wonder if they should put traffic lights on it or if it should be a roundabout or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they ask you, please, could you develop a simulation for this? And we want to investigate this case. I mean, is it that you talk then only to this one department, or are you talking to the city? Yeah, because for the city, maybe what you install can have lots of different benefits, yeah, for different departments. I mean, how is this working?
Well, we're working hard in making this change. So let me simply explain how it was working. First and foremost, just one clarification. We do not do any of these studies. There is people that it's their job. These are consultants. Consultants propose solutions. They analyze these using our tools, our platforms, and then they provide advices to the city. So we are responsible in making sure that we have an accurate representation so that consultants or cities can test these scenarios and do conclusions. So it's very clear we're not consultants on this aspect. Now, coming to your point, the old way is of doing things is that I'm the department B of this public authority. I have one question, so I'll do one tender in which I say you have to build a simulation model of 10 intersections to be able to answer my question. There is a consultant that win this tender, buy a license of our software, spend time and money in building a model of these 10 intersections, calibrate it, run simulations, provide answers to the consultant. And then usually this model dies because it was only built for answering one question. And then you start again. This is what we call in our company or in the industry, this is Kleenex modeling. You take it, you use it, you throw it. And we think that this is really old-fashioned. And what we believe in is we are in an era in which it makes more sense to have invested on a complete representation of the city or of the regions in a platform that is able to answer these type of questions. It's permanently calibrated and maintained with the amount of data that we have out there. And this is what we would offer to the industry. When a city has a question, they can say, hey, what happened if I change this intersection from traffic signal to a roundabout? Can you log in on the Aimson platform and do a quick test? So the consultant can focus on the solution for the city. It will be faster for them to deliver. It will be cheaper for both the consultant and the city to receive this answer. And this will generate more eagerness and more demand for using these digital twins to test any scenarios. Because in the past, one of the main complaints in our industry is that most of our end clients are always like, wow, it takes so much time. I have to wait 6 months to have my answer. The consultant is spending 4 months in building the model to calibrate it. We don't see these guys for 4 months. They are in their cave. They are working hard, but we don't see any outcome. Maybe next time I don't use that. I will just take an Excel spreadsheet and do a high-level estimation. And this is not okay. This is our responsibility, Aimson and our competitors, to change this industry and make access to platform that answers questions on mobility way faster, way more efficient. It's for the benefits of the society at the end. Because the more people use these tools to double check that what they are doing achieve their objectives on the most cost-effective way and the most time-effective way, it will benefit everyone in the society at the end.
I'm convinced of what you just said. So thank you very much. Yeah, I just wonder. It's so obvious to me, yeah, to implement something maybe also on a more continuous basis, yeah, to ensure that a larger variety of stakeholders are benefiting from it, yeah, which is creating more value at lower costs at the end. I would imagine. And I learned, yeah, that your customer probably are more the consultants than the end user, maybe the cities, yeah, who would like to have the consultation.
We really have both. Yeah.
But where is the bottleneck? Is the bottleneck with the consultants that they would like to have the let's say the Kleenex approach, or is the bottleneck with the city in the context of public procurement, where a city says or a city representative, yeah, who is the representative probably of a specific department, he says, no, look, I mean, I want to have a solution, and I don't care about my neighboring department if they have also their solution and their consultation. I mean, where's the bottleneck?
A bit on both, but by far, I would say is mostly on the end client, so the public authority. As you're saying, the problem on the way a lot of public authority pay consultant to do the project, it's very project based for one specific outcome. And the way procurement happen is just like, hey, I have only a budget of 50,000 euros to answer this question. And this budget doesn't cover paying or maintaining a full digital platform of my city. So every time this thing is just like, I just have money for creating a 10 intersection model. So sorry, guys. And you're like, yes, but you and all your colleagues have 5 or 6 times a year, 50,000 euros available for this project. So if I multiply this by 5, and you have 10 different departments that have different questions for different reasons, if you put all this in a money pot, then you have more than enough money to support a digital platform of your transportation network. That requires for them to talk together and to find another way to do procurement. A lot of our customers understand perfectly the concept, and we are helping them. We sometimes even do internal communication between departments. We go and knock at the door of the department and say, hey, do you know your neighbor has exactly the same need as you? Maybe you want to talk together and put some money together so that you can support this. It's changing slowly but surely. We have some cities where this idea has clearly been understood. We're discussing for Adelaide, for example, in Australia, that has been very innovative with that. Abu Dhabi, we're working with. The city of Paris is a perfect example. We have 5 different public authorities or private entities that are all using the same copy of the Paris model, because there is only one city out there. It's just Paris. But there is a lot of actors that need answers. So we're trying to build a way for all of them to contribute to this. So it's happening too slow to our opinion, but it's happening. And in terms of the consultant, you were raising this question. It's true that we are in a moment where there is a bit of friction, to be honest and blunt. Some of the consultants are saying, oh, you're stealing our job, because we were just buying the software and we were creating the model of the 10 sections. It was part of our business. Sure, but the main role of the consultant in the chain of added value is to consult, to analyze, to bring new ideas. If the model was already existing and it will just be logging in and put your ideas in the model and ask that, then you can focus on what you're really good at doing it. You can do it better, faster, and cheaper, which will create a dynamic in which the clients want more of your services. So you will get more business. So for us, it's in a moment in which we're convincing them that we are not against the consultant. We're creating an environment that will, in fact, generate more profitability for their business, because usually they lose money in building these models because it takes very complicated skills, and if you're not used to it and you don't have the automation in place, usually you lose money in it. So we are expert in this. Let us do this job and you do your part of the job, and everybody will get more efficiency in what they are best at doing.
And it sounds to me like they should be happy, yeah, that you have this view that you're not only providing software, but you're providing outcomes, and they can build their analysis on your outcomes. Yeah. So for me, it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
And I would prefer to have a partner who is also has a clear understanding that it's about providing solutions to customers and not just providing technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have exactly pointed at the name. We call these solutions, turnkey solutions. The way you want is software with associated services. So it's a software, and we offer the setup of the models for the different stakeholders around the city or region. Because once again, yes, you can buy, we call this AimSoneX, and we have a lot of users of AimSoneX. This is our off-the-shelf software to create and run models. But once you have received the license of AimSoneX, congratulations, you have a new software installed in your computer. You still don't have the answer to your question. You still have to set up all the models. And this is a highly skilled task where you require a specialist, that you prefer to have this specialist to use already built model to focus on checking the assumptions, explaining to the client why the traffic is doing this or why the traffic is that, properly setting up your different scenarios you want to test. You want your highly skilled people to focus on these, not in building models that will just be thrown to the trash after 1 year because nobody maintained them or used them. It's a waste. It's a waste.
I mean, I'm already very excited about what you explained so far with respect where we are with traffic simulation and how you provide solutions to the customer, how you also use artificial intelligence, machine learning. I mean, what do you see as the future? And I don't know how far you look into the future. Yeah? You can. I know that with respect to Google, yeah, I was 2015 in a meeting where a Google representative was asked about giving a foresight with respect to what is happening in the next 5 years. Yeah, and he said, no, we are not looking into the next 5 years. We are looking only what is happening in the next 6 months. Yeah, so I don't know how you will now answer this question, but how do you see the future with respect to traffic simulation, or how do you see also, if you can give us some insight, the future of IMSUN? Yeah, I mean, what are the next steps?
Look, for us, we have, I think, a pretty clear vision, which is what we want to be is to be the leader in the market in providing this mobility forecasting platform that is cloud-based, web-based, or even AI agent-based, in which instead of accessing to these answers and questions, you will have an AI operator that help you through what do you want to know about your traffic? What do you want, instead of having the web interface? But this is, let's say, futuristic accessibility to the algorithms on the information. That's at this stage maybe not the most important. The most important, in my opinion, is that this would be centralized platform that covers a huge range of use cases, and that a lot of different stakeholders will connect to this platform to obtain answers, but also to provide their data. Because what we see out there is that there is more and more actors that own data. It's not only the public authorities, you have transportation fleets, you have different devices being in the car or being in the infrastructure. So what we see is that eventually this can also become kind of a marketplace where people are chipping in saying, hey, I'm bringing my fleet of vehicles data. Can I have in exchange a 50% discounts on accessing the platform to doing analysis of better routes for my vans to go and distribute the parcels to my clients? So it will become a bit of a marketplace in which, hey, I have an asset and I want to monetize these assets by obtaining some discounted access to a need that I have, is to optimize my fleet of vehicles. And why do you have to do this in a different platform than the city of New York wants to test the closure of the Fifth Avenue for pedestrians, for example, these type of things? It's the same city, okay? So there is no reason that everybody is building their own specific digital twin of the city. There is only one there. There is only one physical reality. Now, obviously, what will have to be extremely well managed is all the permissions, because you don't want your other stakeholders to see what are the type of scenarios you are you are forecasting for the transportation network. There is so as soon as every actors can operate on the platform on a controlled way that is confidential, I think we will reach this vision of having only one truth, multi-actors that can just log into these. And the argument also that, in my opinion, is in favor of going in this direction is that that will allow way more dialogue between the different stakeholders. I give you an example. I'm Uber, and I have a great new algorithms about how I want to position my vehicles where they are in a hill and they are waiting for a client. You know, these cars usually they calculate the car will go where there is the highest probability to get a client in the next 5 minutes. So sometimes the public authority are saying, can you stop having all your Uber cars just sneaking around the airports because you're creating a lot of problems in the traffic with that?
Mhm.
Great. So you can have a dialogue. If Uber can demonstrate their new algorithms, get them validated and certified by the city by showing the impact of this new algorithm on the same platform that the city is using to do their own studies, gosh, that will be so much better. The communication will flow, and this will become a vehicle for communications of ideas between the different partners. Now everybody's coming with their own study, their own consultant, with their own models, and then all the debate and the discussion is like, yeah, but which tool did you use? How did you set it up? And then there is no trust and there is no conversation.
So that would mean your vision concerning a, let's call it multi-access marketplace platform, that
Yes.
would also include that on this platform, there would be the algorithms of, for instance, the services of Uber and other service providers. Is this a correct understanding, or?
They could definitely, there will be two options. They can test them on the platform, but that it will be in their private domain. And usually what we do is when some people have some proprietary algorithms, I don't know, new algorithms for dynamic pricing, like a system integrator company, like our owners, Unix, or company like Caps or whatever, wants to develop, we understand they don't want to put this algorithm on the public domain, and they don't want to put this algorithm in our platform. That's for clear. So what we have is very clear APIs in which people can just connect their black box, which is their proprietary algorithm, and then they can run these in the platform to see what is the impact of their new algorithms without having to expose the code or the algorithms of what they have to develop. You said, hey, what do you need? Well, the input of my algorithm is speed, travel times, volume per lane, whatever. And then it's very simple. You know where do you have to connect your box. This is the different API functions, and you just do it. And when you're done with your study, then you decide if you want to leave the box connected because it helps other people in the community, or you just take your box back and you disconnect it and you're done with your usage of the platform. Up to you.
I mean, interesting that you mentioned this topic, and I think you explained it very, very well. Also, the benefits, yeah, because I think these type of marketplaces, there are already discussions on it for many, many years.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, in the context of what type of architecture is needed. Yeah, it would be really interesting to look a bit deeper into what is the status quo and what has to happen to make this actually happen in the end. Yeah, and maybe where such a vision could be realized first. Yeah, I don't know what region or what country would be appropriate for it. Yeah.
I mean, the most important is, in order to make this work, is people have to perceive concretely the benefits of contributing to this exchange of data. And that's our duty to put the right governance in place in which people are safely contributing with the data they have. And it's very clear how they can contribute and what is the benefits they get in exchange.
And with people, you mean citizens, or with people, you mean the
I'm
stakeholders
I'm more
from the
thinking
different
about
companies?
stakeholders. I'm more thinking about stakeholders. That for me, this platform will remain at least conceptually for the next, the vision I see for the next years, that will remain a professional tool for professional in the transportation industry. I don't think for the moment that this is something that Mr. Smith will wake up in the morning having a cup of coffee and connecting to the platform to do some forecasting. Don't think this is currently the plan. I will let you know if it changes. But currently, we're definitely looking more as this as a platform for the different professional stakeholders that have technical background, that understand how this platform works, how to use it appropriately. That's always the danger of this forecasting platform, is you have to understand what the assumptions are behind so that you can clearly explain them to your end client. The reason why people have moved more from this motorway to this motorway, that they are more sensitive to the cost, the travel time. That's how the model is. So you have to be able to understand that. We don't want our platform to become a magical black box where you just press buttons and you have magical outcome. That's not the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm completely absorbed by and also convinced by the idea concerning this multi-access marketplace platform. And I just wonder, and we are now coming, I think, closer to the end of the interview, yeah? But so far, I never had an interview where we already maybe agreed on the next step, yeah? But I would find it very interesting maybe to have another podcast with additional stakeholders who might also be interested to move this idea further, yeah, and see how we can implement it, because I see only win-win situations. I think it's not an easy step, yeah. I mean, you mentioned already that first of all, it has to be a win-win situation for everybody. That's already always challenging, yeah. But there might be also other issues, privacy, monetization, business models, and so on. I mean, that might be quite challenging, yeah. But would it be interesting for you maybe to continue this discussion also with other stakeholders? And
I would love that.
if yes, what is there still something you would like to add, yeah, to your thinking so far?
No, look, I think it would be a great idea. I think the idea is to a certain degree discuss with other stakeholders. Can be consultant, can be a public authority, can be a data provider, a TomTom or here, something like this. Just to have like a more interesting debate, not a kind of a monologue with one-sided vision, for these people to validate or to challenge the idea. Because we progress only when people are just say, well, Alex, that's a great idea, but how do you want to handle this and this problem? So as you can imagine, we have this conversation with these different stakeholders in different places. But if you are keen to organize these debates on one of your great podcasts, I think I would love to roll up my sleeves and go to work and have one of these great debates, because that's the way forward. It's a collaborative work. If everybody is just doing their things on their side, it's not going to work.
I can tell you, Alex, I'm extremely keen. I'm extremely keen, yeah, because I love the idea, yeah, of such a marketplace, and I was involved in a lot of work in the past also on marketplaces, yeah. So I know about the benefits, but also about the challenges, yeah. And I would like to have a podcast also, which maybe is a bit controversial. Why not? Yeah, I mean, to have a discussion, yeah, pros and cons, yeah, different arguments. I would love it.
Yeah.
And today I learned so much, yeah, about what is the current status, what is the way forward concerning traffic simulation. Yeah, I learned also that it's something which is also on the technical side extremely challenging. That new technologies come in, yeah, like AI, machine learning, etc. And I see I'm soon on a very good path, yeah. And I think also what you said concerning we are not selling software, but we are selling solutions. I think this is very important. Very,
Absolutely.
very important.
That's what the industry wants. And that's what we are delivering.
That's a good final word. Alex. Thank you very much. Yeah, and have a good continuation of the day. Yeah, bye bye.
Bye bye.